The final Solo Fallout dungeon guide is finally here, and I want to start off by thanking all of you who've stayed with my guides during the past couple months. During the time that I started making these videos, I've gained over 1.3 thousand subscribers, which is a ton compared to my measly 100 that I used to have. I plan on making more Destiny and Tarkov content after this guide, including my How to Build a Loadout for Solo content video coming very soon. So don't worry, there's way more to come. Also, if you ever need extra help or are looking for more information, feel free to stop by the streams or join my Discord. There you can contact me easier and I can try to personally help you out. I just ask that you give me some time to respond, because I might be busy. Again, thank you guys so much, and let's get right into the video. Starting off with our subclass. Solar is going to be by far the easiest option to run, as Well of Radiance is extremely strong. Well is going to allow us to dish out great damage and keep ourselves super safe during all damage phases, and during ad clear encounters, we're going to be able to panic super whenever we get low to get a second chance at surviving. Solar is super good in almost any activity in this game, which makes this an extremely easy recommendation. Using Solar will allow us to 2-phase the first and last boss if we can maintain armor charges and keep our damage rotation almost perfect. But even if you mess up, it should still average out around a 3 to 4 phase, which is still plenty good. Alongside Well, we're going to be using Karnstein Armlets to keep ourselves alive by proccing Restoration 1 or 2 by either getting a melee kill or finishing an enemy. And then for our weapons, we're going to be using Dragon's Breath and a Fusion Rifle for the first encounter, any sort of ad clear for the second encounter, and finally for the third encounter, we're going to be rocking Dragon's Breath again or Leviathan's Breath. One more key aspect on our weapon choices is going to be rocking any solar weapon while also using the fragment Ember of Empyrean. Ember of Empyrean will allow us to keep our restoration buff up almost infinitely, as long as we can keep killing enemies with either our solar weapon or abilities. Although, since we're rocking Karnsteins, this isn't as needed since restoration is very easy to reproc. I'm still definitely going to recommend running a solar weapon and Ember of Empyrean though. For the first encounter, like we stated earlier, we're going to run Dragon's Breath alongside a good fusion rifle like Scatter Signal or Riptide, since we're going to try to prioritize having a solar primary weapon in our energy slot for Ember of Empyrean like we just talked about. During this entire dungeon, you can instantly gain your super and all your abilities back as soon as you hit a 10x interval on the amount of burden of riches you're carrying, so 10, 20, 30, which means you can pop your super as much as you want as long as you can go and pick up some more burden before damage phase. So don't be afraid to panic pop your super if you need to keep yourself alive. Specifically for this encounter though, make sure not to sit outside in the Ogre's vision for too long, because the Ogre beam can be pretty devastating if you let him hit you too many times in rapid succession. Also for damage, we're going to either sit right behind the crystal or sit up to the top right of the crystal where the railguard is, so the boss can't charge us and kill us, or push us off the map. There is a downside to both of these options, so I'll explain more during the phase example where I can explain it easier. The second encounter is way more simple, only really requiring you to keep your eye on your Burdens of Riches timer and not falling off the map. For the most part, you can run whatever you want here, so I just kept the same loadout on, and I swapped over to an Eager Edge Sword just to get around the map faster. Just remember to try not to throw the Servitor body off the map, and make sure you deposit all of your burdens, and you should be fine here. Now for the third and final encounter. We have two different options we can run. The first option is the option I'm going to recommend, which is just sticking to Dragon's Breath and playing right in front of the crystal for damage, where the stairs are, since we have Well of Radiance to keep us alive, which can net us a 2-phase if you set it up perfectly, but you should average around a 3 to 4 phase. And then the second option would be to play it a little more safe and consistent by using Leviathan's Breath and also playing near the crystal while securing an average of a 3-phase. Both of these options are great and don't fully triumph over the other one, but more depend on what kind of weapon you like more. The more noticeable difference is that Dragon's Breath is going to require you to play a little closer to the boss, since trying to hit a rocket from far is pretty hard, and that Leviathan's Breath allows you to play from basically any range. But besides damage, there's one more major part to this encounter that can be pretty detrimental if we don't take care of them, and that's the two mini-bosses in the middle, which spawn in right off the bat. These guys will pester you the entire time, so you try to take care of them as fast as possible, which is why I recommend using Dragon's Breath over Leviathan's Breath here, since tagging one of them with a Dragon's Breath shot in Well should kill them pretty easily. More on that during the damage phase example. Again, make sure you're watching your Burdens of Riches timer, and then make sure you don't touch the water in this encounter, since it will instantly end your solo flawless run. Okay, let's move on to my loadout setup and how I built my Warlock, and then we'll move straight into the phase example so you can see exactly how I beat this dungeon. Alright, so first we're going to go over our solar subclass. We're going to be running Well of Radiance. For abilities, we're going to either run Phoenix Dive or Healing Rift. Most of you are probably going to run Healing Rift, which is what you're used to. I like Phoenix Dive better, but that's just a me thing. The reason I like it better is just for the vertical mobility and the fastness of the animation and the instant healing compared to the healing that you have to sit in the Rift for, and it takes a little bit for it to get up. So in this dungeon, it doesn't really matter that much because we're going to have our super so often, and our ability uptime is going to be so often that it doesn't really matter. And we also have Karnstein Armlets, and if you decide to run Healing Grenade with Touch of Flame, again, we're going to have so much healing, it doesn't super matter. But run what you want here, run what you're most comfortable with. For our jump, this is just personal preference, whatever you like the best you're going to play here. And then for our solar melee, Incinerator Snap, I feel like is better for ad clear, although if you're really close to the boss, it does good damage as well. And then for Celestial Fire, I feel like in general is better just for straight up damage because it's ranged. So run what you want here. If you want more damage, I'd run Celestial Fire because the Ogre and the fallen guy at the end, I forgot his name, they're going to be a little farther back, and for Incinerator Snap, you're never going to get the full thing off on them unless you like jump up in their face. Compared to Celestial Fire, where you can just, it's like basically a straight line. So, from what you want there, I like Incinerator Snap better. Shorter base cooldown compared to Celestial Fire anyways, so. And then for our grenade, three options. Fusion Grenade is really good for damage, and remember, Touch of Flame is going to detonate twice. Solar Grenade, really good ad clear, and Healing Grenade. With Touch of Flame, we're going to get, pretty sure, we're going to get Restoration ×2 off of this. So, if we need more healing than we already have, 10x Burdens of Riches, which we get our super back instantly, and Karnstein's. If you really need more healing, run Healing Grenade. But I'm going to run Fusion Grenades here because I don't think we need more. And then for aspects, I personally am running Icarus Dash here. If you want to put on Heat Rises, you can. I'm going to be running Icarus Dash and Touch of Flame. Touch of Flame is going to enhance our grenade. So Fusion Grenades explode twice. Solar Grenades, they do a little bit extra stuff. And then Healing Grenade will give you the Restoration ×2 and extra cure. And then Icarus Dash, I just like the mobility for it. I know in some of the other dungeons I said Heat Rises, but that's usually use Heat Rises when you're using a Sunbracers loadout, or if you're gonna, that's just your playstyle. So I don't like Heat Rises. I only use it when I'm using Sunbracers, but I'm gonna say up to you. I'm still gonna recommend using Icarus Dash though, just for the mobility to get behind some cover. And then for our fragments, there's a couple options we're gonna run here, but I'm gonna go over just what I have first. Ember of Empyrean is basically a must, unless you can keep these up by other means. Ember Empyrean is going to extend the duration for Restoration and Radiant when you're getting Solar Weapon or Ability Final Blows. Super, super useful. I'm going to just highly recommend you never take this off. Really, for any Solar subclass, this is an extremely, extremely useful perk. This will make sure we don't have to go out of our way to reproc things over and over again. We can just kill stuff with our Solar Weapon or abilities. I'm running Ember of Torches, will make us Radiant. The seasonal artifact has some stuff that makes you Radiant, but besides that, there's no other way for you to get Radiant besides this. Unless you're sitting in your well, or you're using some other exotic. So, very useful as well. I would recommend keeping this on as well. And then Ember of Ashes, you apply more Scorch attacks to targets. This means they're going to ignite faster. And then Ember of Singeing, your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. This means we're going to get our Phoenix Dive back faster, our Healing Rift back faster. But again, the 10x Burdens of Riches, you're going to get it back pretty fast anyway. So, these two aren't super needed. Ember of Ashes is just helps you get those ignitions off faster. But sorry, excuse me. If you're going to swap something out, Ember of Mercy got fixed a little bit ago. Ember of Mercy is an extremely, extremely good solar fragment now. We also get 10 resilience on top of that. But if you're going to run Ember of Mercy, you need a way to generate fire sprites. So Ember of Mercy, when you pick up a fire sprite, you gain restoration, kind of like Karnstein's, except you don't actually have to, go up and hit something. You just, whenever you kill something, they drop the fire sprites. So to make sure we actually can use Ember of Mercy, we need to make those fire sprites. So you'd probably take off both of these, and you'd put on Ember of Mercy, and then either Ember of Tempering? Yeah, Ember of Tempering, or you could put on, I think it's called Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates fire sprites. So anything you're scorching, if you're using an incandescent weapon, boom, easy fire sprites right there. And then Ember of Tempering, just in general, your solar weapon final blows will create fire sprites when it's active. So if you want to run that setup, you can. This is just a super healing overload. I'm still going to recommend the other option just because, the stacks of Scorches will reach Ignition faster, which means you're going to get off more damage. Although Ignitions are kind of iffy on how much flat damage you get. There's not a baseline for it. I don't know. Ignitions are kind of weird, but they still give you extra damage. And if you can get more of those, that means you're going to get more damage out. But still, Ember Mercy is super, super good. Just make sure when you're running it, you have Ember of Tempering on or Ember of Searing. But besides our subclass, we are going to go over our armor mods real quick. Here they are right here if you want to take a screenshot. And I'll have the dim link, of course, in my Discord. Going off with our helmet. Again, since we don't need our super very often, we're not going to be... since we're getting our super so often, we're not going to need something like Power Preservation, Hands-On, or Ashes of Assets. So, I'm going to rock 2 heavy ammo finders here, and then a Harmonic Siphon. This is extremely important because we need a way to generate orbs. And the only real way to generate orbs is by, getting rapid blows with the Siphon mod. Yes, you can run, and we probably will be running, you know, firepower or heavy-handed, depending on, you know, what you're going to get kills with more often. If you're using a healing grenade, don't even run firepower because you're not going to get grenade final blows. But the cooldown on these, heavy-handed and firepower, are a lot longer than the Siphon mod. So most of our orbs are probably going to come from our Solar Siphon or Harmonic Siphon mod compared to our firepower or heavy-handed. So make sure you have the Siphon mod on. It's super, super important. And to supplement it, you can put on firepower if you're running a grenade and you're going to use it for ad clear, or heavy-handed if you're going to use your ability for your melee ability for ad clear. So, and then the other two slots, if you want to run dexterity mods to pull your weapons out faster, that's really nice. More DPS. But you could also run something to gain your abilities back faster. But remember, again, Burdens of Riches times 10 will give you instantly. So I would probably recommend actually running a dexterity mod over one of these, depending on what you want. And again, these are all interchangeable, depending on what ability you want back faster. For our chestplate, we're going to be running resistance mods. I have concussive dampener on as just like a flat, like I always have this on, unless I'm playing super, super close or something from super, super far shooting me. And then we're going to be running resistances that the enemies are running. So Void for the Ogre. And then this is a pretty solar heavy encounter. You've got the Acolytes that are shooting you all the time. I'm pretty sure they shoot you with solar. So that's what I'm running. But remember, depending on what you're fighting in each encounter, you're going to want to switch it up. So like the first encounter is all Hive, and then, you know, the end is all Fallen. So you can swap those in and out as you please. I also like to have a chest plate on standby that has my reserves. So when I rally, I swap, rally, and then I swap back. For our legs, I'm just going to stack triple surges. If you want to run a scavenger mod here, you can. But Dragon's Breath is pretty good about heavy ammo economy, which means you shouldn't necessarily need scavengers unless you're getting off a lot of your Dragon's Breath shots. But usually you should only be getting off like 5 average, 6 maximum shots of damage phase in this dungeon. So I feel like you should be good if you just run around, and you have your double heavy ammo finders on. So if you want to run one, just be safe. It's not a big deal. You'll lose a little bit of damage, but it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to have to swap boots in the middle of your encounter to pick up some extra heavy and then die because of it. And then for our bond, we're going to be running at least 2 time dilation mods. And the reason for this is because of the final encounter, the Burdens of Riches, you have to stack like 60 or 55 burdens into the crystal, right? And during that, you have a 30-second timer from when you pick up your burdens, and every time you pick up another one, refreshes it, obviously. But you have a 30-second timer to go and get all of your armor charges, deposit all of the Burdens of Riches, and while you're depositing them, your armor charges are running out. And, you know, make sure you have all your ammo for damage. So I actually might even go further than 2 and stack 3 here, just for the final encounter, because you want to have all your armor charges for damage phase so you get the most amount of damage. When you're depositing all 60, unless you're depositing them incrementally, you're going, you know, you grab 20, you deposit them. You grab another 20, you deposit them. And then you have your last 20, you grab your armor charges and go in for damage. Unless you're doing that, you're going to run out of a full armor charge, like guaranteed, if you go and deposit 60 at the end. So, and if you mess up at all, you're going to probably lose a whole nother armor charge. So I would just play it safe, maybe run 3 time dilation mods if you can sacrifice the stats, but 100 resilience is way more important than a little bit of extra damage. So I'm going to leave that up to you. And then obviously, I know I always forget to mention this in my video, so sorry. I'll try to be better about that. 100 resilience is always on. You should always have 100 resilience, especially in a solo false environment. But I mean, Karnstein's, your recovery is going to be so fast with the restoration times 2 anyways. It might not really even matter. You're going to want to stack 100 resilience, and then if you want to get off more damage, you're going to probably stack discipline, you get your fusions off faster, and then recovery, because recovery is Warlock's main stat. You're going to get rifts out faster, your Phoenix dive out faster. But again, you have the 10 times Burdens of Riches, so I'll let you just make sure you stack resilience, and then play into whatever you like the best. Finally, weapons. Scatter Signal or Riptide will be sufficient. My Scatter Signal is Overflow Controlled Burst. Don't enhance Controlled Burst, it still doesn't have any extra benefits. And then I'll have it on me, but my Riptide is auto-loading Choke Clip. I know Choke Clip got nerfed, but whatever. Auto-loading Vorpal will be good too. Whatever solar weapon you like, I have Callous Mini Tool on. Amit's really good. Adhorta is really good, although I don't have it craftable yet. Apocryphal Innervation, or whatever it's called. The Lightfall hand cannon is really good too. Salu's Bane. Anything with Incandescent, run that. And then, obviously, Dragon's Breath or Leviathan's Breath, depending on what we're running. If you're running Leviathan's Breath, you need to swap on a Void Loader mod, very important, Void Loader mod, and Void Surges. Void Loader will make sure that, you know, we reload the gun faster, which means we're getting off more damage. And no, draw time and reload speeds are different. They are not the same, so Void Loader mods, from what I understand, do not affect your draw time. That's what Ardra's Tempo's for on Leviathan's Breath. So just make sure you have a Void Loader mod on. You'll get off more DPS. And then for second encounter, I'm running Eager Edge. That's not necessarily, though. It's just what I like. Okay, I think that's it. If I forgot anything, let me know in the Discord. Let me know in the comments. I will pin something in the comments at the top with all my mistakes. Although, I feel like for the most part, I've been pretty good, except for the one consecration thing. As I said a little bit ago, my bad. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to send you guys to the damage phase now. And if I missed anything here, hopefully I cleared it up there already. If not, again, let me know. Thanks, guys. Alright, so now we're going to go into our first encounter. I'm going to show you all the way up to the damage phase, and then once the damage phase ends, I'll move on to the Sparrow, then the second encounter, then the third encounter. That kind of stuff. So, we're going to start off by grabbing the Scorch Cannon. This guy can already be dead sometimes if you take too long, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. That means you just don't have to do any extra work. So, we're going to start off by proccing our Karn scenes. You can do this by either getting a finisher to get restoration times 2, or just meleeing something to get restoration times 1. I would recommend doing a finisher, and then you can just melee things and you know do your solar damage with Ember Empyrean to get your restoration times 2 up for the rest of the encounter. But you know, you can do that really whenever you want, so it's not really a big deal. But we're going to take our time ad clearing. And remember, for Karn scenes, just getting melee kills. So if I have restoration times 2, I started off restoration times 2. I'm at 15 seconds, let's say, and it drops down to 8. If I go and melee something and proc restoration times 1, it'll refill my restoration times 2 timer. And same thing for restoration times 2. If I go and do something, if I have restoration times 2, my timer's low, and then I proc restoration times 2 again, it'll refill the timer up a good bit. So once you have restoration times 2 proc, you can just go around and use Ember of Empyrean and get your kills, or you can just melee stuff and re-proc Karn scenes to fill your timer back up. So it's super, super easy. There's not much you have to worry about with re-procking Karn scenes. Just melee stuff over and over again once you have restoration times 2 procced, or you can use your solar weapons to keep it up the whole time. For the actual encounter itself, you need 25 burdens to start damage phase. So take your time, pop your super, you know, play it safe. I probably only pop my super once here because, you know, you only have the times 10 and the times 20 interval to get your super back. If you want to go grab more, then you can just shoot open the little node up here at the top left. You can grab more, like 30, 40. Pop your super as much as you want, basically. Just make sure you have it for damage. But this is a very, very simple encounter. Make sure you have armor charges before going in, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm shooting Thralls, and I'm going to go sit behind the crystal. Now, right here, I'd probably prefer something like a Healing Rift over Phoenix Dive, but again, I'm not taking enough damage, and my restoration is up for a lot of time, so I don't really need a Healing Rift here. Another thing is, when you're sitting behind this crystal, Thralls from the left and right are going to come push you. You should try to let them get close, so then you can still deposit your riches, and you can get your Solar Siphon off and pick up the orbs to re-proc your armor charges for damage phase. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm letting them get close, and I'm going to go slide out and grab it. My Burdens of Riches are all deposited. Now, my damage rotation is going to be I'm going to shoot my Dragon's Breath first, so then I can get some damage off while I'm casting Well. I'm going to Dragon's Breath, and Well, and then I'm going to sit here, I'm going to shoot off some of my Fusion, and when I hear that chink, I'm going to swap back to my Dragon's Breath, and it's going to be Dragon's Breath, 3 to 4 Fusion shots, depending on if my ignitions are fast enough and it auto-loads, and then repeat. So Dragon's Breath, Fusion, Dragon's Breath, Fusion, Dragon's Breath, Fusion, etc. For your Dragon's Breath shot, it's kind of finicky sometimes. You should try to shoot your Dragon's Breath like in this ogre's like in the gut, like right where his you know, where his cock would be, right here. Because the spurts from the ignition are gonna hit the top, you know, like the bottom of his chin, like the inner sides of his legs and stuff like that, and you're gonna land more off of his ignitions there. So try to aim there. I missed it a little bit here, but that'll secure your auto loading during this. So again, the dexterity mod would be really nice here. I don't think I had one on here. But you'll see I still get off plenty of damage, and you should be able to two-phase this if you do better than me. Now, the only issue with this, and I'll show you this in a second, the only issue with sitting near the crystal or on the flat ground is that the ogre sometimes doesn't give a fuck if you're staggering him and will just rush you. And so if he's rushing you and your Dragon's Breath blows up, you die. So yes, you're going to get off more damage because your fusion rifle is closer to the boss, so like two-phase easy there. I could have gotten off more here. But look, that's a two-phase. and we still have extra time. So yes, your fusion rifle is closer, which means you're going to get off more damage, but it's a little more risky if the game decides to screw you over. So this is only the first encounter, though. It doesn't take long to get here. Up to you. So yeah, I could have gotten off more damage there. But here is my other example. I said this earlier in the video. You either sit behind the crystal or you sit to the top right where the gate is. The little rail guards are. The rail guard, if you're going to sit up here, so it's right here. This means the ogre, he can't... He still probably could if you put your rocket like literally on like the center front of his face and you just like stuffed it up against you. But he hopefully shouldn't kill you here. This is a safer spot just in general. You're not on the flat ground. He's not going to go and like push you off the map. So the only issue with this spot is that your fusion rifle is not going to get off max damage. So you might want to try running a different weapon here, or you might want to try sitting on the edge or letting the ogre get a little closer to you. But even still sitting up here, if you just wanted to run the same loadout, you're still going to get a 3-phase here. So that's still plenty good, and you're playing it even safer. You're just going to, you know, take an extra phase. Not a big deal. So you might be able to make up for it in the next damage phase. You might be able to get off like an actual 2-phase. So definitely not bad. Yes, this is my Titan. I screwed up. I was going to record them individually for each character, but I really screwed up my Hunter, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to use my Titan for all 3 videos. So, for each area, I think there's only two timer resets. There's these little knobs right here. I'll play it a little bit so you can see it. So there's these little knobs. There's one on the right and one on the left almost in every area. I think one of them's like middle and then left, but whatever. The big thing you got to keep in mind is that you don't want to... It's very rare, but sometimes you'll zoom through the objective and not cap it. I don't know if that was just like a bug back in the day, like with Always On Time, because it was like the fastest Sparrow back then, and you know they fixed it finally. But just make sure you like maybe slow down a little bit while you're entering it, and then whenever your Sparrow is smoking, make sure you jump off, pull out your Sparrow, and reproc it. Because if your Sparrow blows up, you're gonna have a super long cooldown. It could insta kill you, and that would be a pain in the ass to die on the Sparrow encounter of all things. Back in the day, dying on the Sparrow counter was not the most uncommon thing because you had to basically have Always On Time to, you know, secure the Sparrow phase and not have to, like, perfect it. But since everything's at 190 now, 190 speed, you should be good. But, yep, super simple. I mean, not much more I can say here. Just make sure when you land, you don't blow up your Sparrow, you don't die to the dregs or the Vandals or whatever. Like, I almost died there. That would have been tragic. But, yeah, super simple. Back to Warlock now. For second encounter, again, the only thing I'm swapping here is I'm going to run a Eager Edge Sword. I'm using the Slammer Adept from whatever, Nightfalls, Vanguard, whatever you want to call it. For second encounter, the first thing you want to do is once you pick up the Scorch Cannon, you want to aim down sights and look for the Servitor. So I see the Servitor right here, right to the right of the blue shield stuff. And for proccing the cannon, you only have to tag it once. You don't have to like charge it and hold it there. But sometimes I'll charge and hold it so I can land it and I can wait it out while I'm rotating the cannon around. So that's what I just did right there. I did it early so I can do this faster. And look, there's a Servitor up to the left. Very cool. And then I'm gonna drop my Scorch Cannon. I don't need it anymore. I can always get it back later. So make my way over there. So yeah, it's 20 burdens to deposit here. I'm pretty sure. So we're just going to go and get all of our burdens, and then we're going to deposit it, push the Servitor down the path that's already been made, and hope it doesn't fall off the map, and don't die. I don't honestly know what more I could, you know, try to help you with here, besides making sure that you deposit all your burdens, because if you don't deposit all your burdens, you're going to be traversing to the next area, and then your screen's going to glow red, and you're going to be nowhere near your crystal, and you're going to wipe. It's happened to me before. That's why I'm saying this. So, just make sure that you deposit all your burdens. And try not to pick any up on the way out. And I know you could technically grab burdens, you know, or Shatter Skate over to the next area and deposit them to do a little faster. But is it really worth the you know, couple seconds you're saving of killing more ads on a solo false run? No, it's not. So don't do that. But yeah, super simple. I just started pushing it down that little ramp. Once it gets close to the cannon, it's gonna like a magnet. It's gonna like sit there, and then you just shoot it once, and you shoot it over. So, not very hard. It's a very, very straightforward encounter, although it's very, 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 very boring. And then for the end of the encounter, once you, sorry, not the end of the encounter, but once you deposit the servitor, look around and aim down sight of the Scorch Cannon because you can zoom in with it. It's very nice. Look for the next servitor and then start traversing. Don't just start traversing blindly because that's just a waste of time. But yeah, that's it. We're going to move on to the boss phase now. I forgot to cut out the rest of that, my bad. But in the boss phase, remember earlier I was talking about how I prefer Dragon's Breath here over Leviathan's Breath? Here's why. I already explained it, but I'm going to show you now. So what we're going to do is we're going to cast our well. Well lasts for 30 seconds. We have plenty of time. We're going to wait for the guys to come out. As soon as they come out, Dragon's Breath, Fusion Grenade, Incinerator Snap. I'm proccing ignitions like crazy. They're taking a fuck ton of damage. Boom. They're both dead immediately. That is the fastest way to take care of these guys. And that was the one issue I had with Hunter, was that there wasn't a super easy way to do that unless you were running Arc, and you're doing Dragon's Breath as well. So with Warlock, it's super, super simple. And look, we got our super back because we picked up all 10 of the Burdens of Riches that he dropped. So it's really, really useful. Then the rest of the encounter, you'll never have to worry about them until the next damage phase. And we just walk around, we shoot our Scorch Cannon at the little orbs, and grab 60 burdens and deposit them. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So again, I mentioned this in my last couple videos, the Scorch Cannon counts as an actual solar weapon. I know it's crazy, but you know, you might actually think that just because it's called a Scorch Cannon, Bungie being finicky it's a Scorch Cannon, but it's not actually a solar weapon. You know, I wouldn't have been surprised if that was the case. So while we have our Scorch Cannon out, look, I noticed my restoration is getting low, so I'm going to go and reproc in a second. You always want to make sure that you have your restoration up, and that's what I am doing right now. So I low-key didn't even know, but watching it back, I noticed that it's lower. The best way to know if your restoration is out, because right now they don't have the new UI changes that are coming out soon, which is really cool, really nice. The best way to tell if your restoration is out is either looking at the timer, but if you have too many buffs or debuffs, it won't be there. Just looking at the top of your health bar. If your health bar isn't moving, that means your restoration is gone. So we're gonna go around and grab more Burdens of Riches. I try to grab 20 a run. It takes 3 charges of a Scorch Cannon, so you either stick it and let it go boing, 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 or you just burst it 3 times and get it faster. So we already deposited 10 earlier, so we're going to need 50. I think I go and get 60 anyways just to play it safe, but I don't remember. And before we get into damage phase, we want to make sure we have our armor charges up. We want to make sure we have our ammo, which is first phase, so we already have our ammo. We want to make sure we have our abilities. So we're looking pretty good here. I'm going to go and start to get my armor charges because I know I only have 1 here, and the timer's getting low. But because I only have 1 and the timer's getting low, I'm going to go and use my Harmonic Siphon, my Solar Siphon mod, to pick up a bunch of armor charges real quick. And here comes the issue, which I was talking about earlier, right? Look at my Burdens of Riches timer. I have 7 seconds. If I don't get there, I die. If I have 0 armor charges, I'm not going to get off extra damage. So you have to be watching your Burdens of Riches timer and your armor charges to make sure that you're getting the most out of both of them and you're not losing your run. Which is why I was saying run maybe 3 time dilation mods so you don't have to worry about wasting your armor charges as much. When you hear that noise, the boss sometimes likes to teleport, so I like to wait a second and then I'm going to start my rotation. I should have Dragon's Breath first, then Well to get off a little bit of extra damage. It's really not a big deal. But I like to place my Well in front of the crystal, kind of towards the stair, because I want my Well to cover the landing of the stairs and a little bit downhill the stairs, so then I can play closer to the boss, Dragon's Breath him, and then Scatter Signal to get off most of my diffusion damage. So that's what we're going to play right here. Remember Dragon's Breath, Fusion, 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 until you hear the cha-chink, the auto-loading holster. It's about 3 to 4 shots. I got an Incinerator Snap off in there while I was rotating weapons. You should be able to secure a 2-phase on this if you do it right. I'm going to show you Leviathan's Breath damage phase example in just a second if you just want to run that and you don't want to play as close to this guy. Although, most of the time, he shouldn't push you and he shouldn't walk down the stairs, but sometimes he does. He's a little weird. So look, that is just barely a 2-phase. I know it's not going to be perfect for everyone, and so if it isn't, that's why I have the Leviathan's Breath phase example here. If you don't want to risk that, it's going to be a 3-phase anyways with Dragon's Breath, and you'd rather just play it safer and use a ranged weapon, then that's what this is going to be for. So here, this is what I was talking about earlier, how my armor charges are probably going to be out anyways. I'm going to lose almost 2 full armor charges here before damage phase start. So you're going to see, even with me not having an armor charge towards the end, we still get off plenty of damage for a 3-phase. So My damage rotation at the beginning might have not been optimal because I was kind of just like in the zone, just playing the game for a second. I wasn't really thinking. But even with that, you know, the average person should get a 3 to 4 phase here, which is still super, super good. And the phase, like most dungeon phases are super fast anyways. The mechanics phases are super fast. So, but yeah, look, right there, right at the H, at the end of the H. That's barely missing the 2 phase. If you have your full armor charges, if you have the perfect rotation, you could get a 2 phase here. I think you can do it. And maybe, you know, maybe if you want to do a loadout swap, Hypothesis Veil or something like that, which, Trio, one of the guys in my one of my viewers in my chat was telling me, he's like, run it, and I did. It's really good. If you want a loadout swap, use that. Anyways, that's it. Again, if I miss anything, there will be something in the comments. Probably at the pin section to let me know. In my Discord as well. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything more I'm missing here. This dungeon is not very hard. It's not as easy as Prophecy, but it's still not very hard. You just need to watch out for your Birds of Riches timer, which is probably one of the biggest things that will kill you here. And the final encounter, you gotta make sure you don't die to those 2 mini bosses. But yeah, that's it. Join the Discord. You know, leave a like on the video, whatever. I'm gonna send you to the outro now. I'll stop bugging you guys. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If anything helped, please let me know by leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. Since all the solo fallout guides are done, I plan on making a video on how and why I pick the objects I have in these videos to hopefully make loadout creation easier for any player trying to solo any sort of activity. That video should be out around a week after this video is up, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I also make Tarkov content even though I haven't posted any recently, because the game hasn't been super interesting at the moment, and I might switch over to some other content soon, so let me know if anything sounds cool to you. There's also the members program if you want to join that as well. It's just for supporting the channel and you don't get any sort of real benefits. You'll get some badges for the live streams, cool Discord role, and maybe early access to videos if I post them early enough. Just remember this is a subscription-based model, so please cancel whenever you're done. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you around.